Good morning to all my geometry students. So today we'll continue with Unit 6, Lesson 7, which is circles in the coordinate plane. Okay, so we already learned that there are two basic equations of the circle. Okay, the first one is going to be the center radius form. Okay, this is our equation when the center of the circle is going to be at the origin or at point 0, 0. So the center radius form is going to be x squared plus y squared is going to be equal to r squared. Okay. Our second basic equation of the circle is called the general form equation, and it's when the center is not located at the origin. Okay. So the form of this equation is going to be x minus a squared plus y minus b squared is going to be equal to the square of r, which is equal to the radius. Okay. So notice here that if we simplify this general form equation using the difference of squares as we did in algebra, we get x squared plus y squared plus ax plus by plus c, which is a constant, equal to 0. Okay, where in this case, a and b are going to be the coordinates of the center of the circle, which are different from the origin, or 0, 0. R is going to be the radius, and A, B, and C are said to be constants. Okay, we'll do an example applying the general form, the center radius form, and also simplifying the general form equation so we get our equation in this form. We'll do some examples moving on. Okay, so now we move on to our sample problem 1, for which we need to find the center radius form of the following circles. Okay, so these are our given circles. Okay, let's go ahead and see how we're going to then, what can we do in order to solve this problem? So, in order to find the center radius form of the following circles, we're going to use our general equation, which is x minus a squared plus y minus b squared is equal to r squared. Okay, so notice that in our first case, they are telling us that the center is located at the origin or at 0, 0. Okay, what we simply do now is we're going to substitute point 0, 0, a equals 0 and b is equal to 0. Okay, so if we substitute a and b in our original equation, we have x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared is going to be equal to r squared. They're telling us that r is going to be equal to 3. So we simply plug in this 3, our radius here, for 3. So we get x minus 0 is going to be x. So x squared plus y minus 0, which is what? Y squared is going to be equal to the square of the radius, and the radius is equal to 3. Okay? So here, in our first case, the center radius form, in this case, since the center is located at 0, 0, okay, the center radius form is simply going to be x squared plus y squared equals 9. Okay, now let's look at the second part of our sample problem 1. They're telling us the center is located, instead of the center being at 0, 0 here, the center is located at 7, 4. Okay, so in this case, A would be 7 and B would be 4. They're also telling us that the radius is equal to what? To 1.5. So we go ahead and we simply substitute in our equation, and it's going to be x minus a changes to x minus 7 because we substitute a for 7. So it's going to be x minus 7 squared plus y minus b. Since b equals 4, we simply plug it in, and it's going to be plus y minus 4 squared equals the square of the radius, and the radius is given, which is 1.5. So here, our equation is simply reduced to x minus 7 squared plus y minus 4 squared is going to be equal to 1.5 squared, which is equal to 2.25. Okay, so the center radius form, when the center of the circle is located at the origin, it's going to be x squared plus y squared equals 9 because the radius in this case is 3. And in the second part of sample 1, we use x minus 7 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 1.5 squared. Why? Because in this case, the center of the circle is located at a point which is different from 0, 0. In this case, the center is located at 7, 4. So we simply label 7 as A, 4 as B. We just substitute on this equation. And here you go. It's x minus 7 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 2.25. Okay? Now we move on to sample number 2. Okay? Let's bring it all in before we continue. Okay. So in sample 2, we need to find the equation of a circle given its center and its radius. So again, we are given in sample number 2, we have sections 3 and 4. So part number 3, sample problem 2, the center is located at 0, 0, and the radius is equal to 4. As we did in our first problem, x minus a squared plus y minus b squared equals r squared. So given that a and b are 0, 0, this is reduced to what? X squared plus y squared equals what? R squared. R, the radius is given, it's 4. So we substitute, we simply plug it in here. So x squared plus y squared equals 16. Okay? Since they're asking us to find the equation of a given circle, we have to change what? We have to change this to the equation form. And the only thing we have to do is we have to move this constant, which is 16, we have to move it to our left side so we can make this equation equal to 0. So what we do is we subtract 16 on both sides and we get x squared plus y squared minus 16 is equal to what? 16 minus 16, which is equal to 0. Okay, so here we have the equation of the circle, okay, given its center, which is 0, 0, and its radius, which is 4. Okay, now the center in our section 4 sample problem number 2, here we are given that the center is going to be located at 5, 2, and the radius is equal to 5. Notice here that the center is not at 0, 0. So again, we use the general form formula, which is what? X minus a squared plus y minus b squared equals r squared. What is a? 5 is going to be a, and 2 is going to be what? 2 is going to be b. So we simply plug in our values and we get x minus 5 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to what? R squared, given that r is 5, it's going to be 25. Okay? So our general formula is reduced to x minus 5 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 25. But then again, they're asking us for the equation of a circle. Okay? So here we notice that we have the difference of two squares, which is x minus 5 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 25. Okay? Now we have to simplify. We have to simplify this using the difference of two squares. Okay? So now we move on to terms we have learned or we learned in algebra. And we have x minus 5 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals r squared. Now if we take x minus 5 squared, that's going to be x minus 5 times x minus 5. Y minus 2 squared is going to be y minus 2 times y minus 2. And that's equal to r squared, okay? And r is equal to 5, so r squared is equal to 25. That's going to be on our right side of the equation. So what happens when we have to multiply x minus 5 times x minus 5? There we use our FOIL method that we learned in algebra. So we're going to take x minus 5 times x minus 5. So we multiply our first terms, okay, which is x times x, we get x squared, okay? Then we take our outside term, which is x times negative 5, which is negative 5x. We take our inner terms, which are negative 5 and x. When we multiply that, we get negative 5 times x. And then we multiply our last terms of each expression, which is negative 5 times negative 5, that's 25. So there we get x squared minus 10x plus 25. So if we multiply y minus 2 times y minus 2, what do we get? using the same FOIL method, we get y squared minus 2y minus 2y plus 4. And that's equal to y squared minus 4y plus 4. On the right side, that's equal to 5 squared, which is 25. Why? Because our radius is given and it is equal to 5. So we continue simplifying, and now we take x squared plus y squared, okay? Those are our terms with a coefficient equal to 1. And then we take the terms with coefficients that are going to be negative 10 times x, okay, that term, minus 4 times y. And then we take our term, which is a constant, which is 29, okay? And now our equation is in the form x squared plus y squared plus ax plus by plus c equals 25. So now we have to take that 25, which is on our right side, and we have to subtract 25 on both sides in order for this equation to be equal to 0, okay? And finally, the general form of the equation is going to be x squared plus y squared minus 10x minus 4y plus 4 equals 0. So it's in the form x squared plus y squared plus ax plus by plus c is equal to 0, okay? So here we are taking, we took the equation of the general form formula for the equation, okay? And here we have reached the general form equation, which is this one, okay? Now let's move on to sample number 3. Let's go ahead. Okay. Now in this case, sample problem number 3, we have to find the equation of the circle given one of its points and the center. Notice here that they are not telling us what the radius is. So what does that mean? Simple. We need to find it. Okay? So in part 5 of sample problem number 3, we have that the center of the circle is located at 0, 0, and one of its points is going to be 3, 2. Okay? Now, using the equation of the circle, we have x squared plus y squared, since, again, we're using this form because the center is located at 0, 0. Remember that. So x squared plus y squared equals r squared. We're looking for r. We simply plug in the values. So r, which is the radius, is going to be equal to what? To 3 minus 0, 3 minus 0 plus 2 minus 0. That's going to be equal to 3 squared plus 4 squared, which is the square root of what? 13. Okay? So the equation, r is going to be equal to the square root of 13. So when we plug it in, our initial equation here, x squared plus y squared equals the square root of 13. What does this square do when you have a square root? It cancels it out. So our equation is going to be equal to x squared plus y squared equals 13. Now in the general equation form, it has to be equal to 0. So that means that we have to subtract 13 on both sides. And what do we get? X squared plus y squared minus 13 is going to be equal to 0. So then again here, we have to find the equation given one of its points and the center. So what's the first thing we do? The first thing we have to do is we have to find the value for the radius, okay, using our distance formula here. Difference between the x's, difference between the y's, we square it and we find the square root. Now we plug it in the form of the equation here when the center is located at 0, 0. Okay, so now let's move on to our next example, which is part 6, which within sample number 3. So here, the center is located where? It's located at 2, 5, at x equals 2, y equals 5. And that's going to be what? It's going to be different from 0, 0, okay? The center is at 2, 5, and it's at 0.28, okay? So first, as in our last one, we have to find the radius. So the radius, we apply the distance formula. So what do? We simply find the difference between the x's, which is 2 minus 2 squared, plus the difference between our y's, which is 8 minus 5 squared. Okay? This is 0, and 8 minus 5, this is 3 squared, is going to be the square root of 9, which is equal to 3. Okay? So here our equation is going to be equal to x minus 2 squared. This is going to be a, and this is going to be b. X minus a squared plus y minus b, which is equal to 5 squared, equals the radius that we just got. It's 3 squared. So then we get x minus 2 squared plus y minus 5 squared is equal to 9. So again, we find ourselves with what? With the difference of 2 squares. So in order for us to find the general equation, what do? We use our FOIL method to solve x minus 2 squared, our FOIL method to solve y minus 5 squared. Okay? So that's going to lead us to the general equation, which is x squared minus 4x plus 4 plus y squared minus 10y plus 25 equals 9. And again, how does that happen? So let's go on here. We have x minus 2 squared is x minus 2 times x minus 2. Y minus 5 squared is y minus 5 times y minus 5. We use our FOIL method, and we get x squared minus 4x plus 4. Y minus 5 squared, using FOIL method, we get y squared minus 10y plus 25, and that's equal to 9. Okay, and then we regroup our terms. X squared plus y squared minus 4x minus 10y plus 29, which is 25 plus 4. That's equal to 9. But we want that equation to equal what? To be equal to 0. So then we have to subtract 9 from both sides of the equations. So 29 minus 9, that's going to be 20. The rest remains the same. The right side of the equation is 9 minus 9, which is equal to 0. Okay? So here, our general equation, it's going to be in the form x squared plus y squared minus 4x minus 10y plus 20 is going to be equal to 0. Okay? So we'll leave it here for today. We'll continue then with our next sample problems. Have a great day. Bye-bye.